Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're doing something really fascinating. We are literally looking right under the hood of our own cognition. We're going to uncover the 10 psychological traps that constantly cause us to make flawed decisions. But more importantly, we're going to talk about exactly how we can outsmart our own brains. So picture this. You're sitting at your desk making a rapid-fire financial decision. You feel completely rational, right? I mean, of course you do. But we have to ask ourselves, who is really in the driver's seat here? Are you actively choosing, or is there a hidden, automated mental shortcut just making the call for you? Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll cover the mind's hidden landmines. Then we'll group our 10 traps into 3 main areas: traps of the ego, the social influence traps, and flaws in our logic. Finally, we'll wrap up with escaping the mental traps.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the mind's hidden landmines. An introduction to our flawed decisions.
So what exactly is a psychological trap? Well, it's actually not a sign of weakness at all. It's more like a survival mechanism that's just gone completely rogue. You see, our brains process millions of bits of information every single second. To avoid burning out, the brain builds shortcuts. And usually, they keep us efficient. But when they misfire, they trick us into some deeply flawed choices, all while completely convincing us that we're being entirely logical. Moving on to section 2. Traps of the ego, when our sense of self actually misleads us. Think about the very last time you utterly refused to admit you were wrong, even when the facts were stacked completely against you. We've all been there, right? Well, that is an ego trap. It's a cognitive flaw where your brain prioritizes feeling right over being right. It literally sacrifices your rational decision-making just to protect your self-esteem. We all love to picture ourselves as these super rational detectives, logically defending a really well-researched stance. But the reality of an ego trap, we're actually just cowering behind a giant brick wall, blocking out any contradictory evidence, and acting out of a deep-seated fear of just looking foolish. Now, there are 3 primary ways our ego sabotages us. First up is the sunk cost fallacy. This is when you pour more money into a failing project simply because you can't stomach the loss you've already taken. Second is confirmation bias. This is where you treat validating information like absolute gold, but you completely ignore facts that challenge your worldview. And third is the illusion of control. This is your ego convincing you that your, say, lucky socks actually have an influence on a game of pure chance. Crazy, right? Let's shift gears to section 3, the social influence traps, how others shape our flaws. As humans, we are evolutionary creatures, entirely wired to fit in. But that deep desire can completely short-circuit our critical thinking. A social influence trap happens when we basically just hand the steering wheel over to the crowd. We let the presence or the beliefs of others dictate our choices, often without even realizing we've put our own independent thought on mute.
It's wild to consider just how easily the crowd sways us. Take the bandwagon effect. That has us buying hyped-up, overpriced socks simply because our friends are doing it, completely ignoring the actual financials. Then there's the halo effect, where we'll gladly take medical advice from a celebrity just because they're a talented actor. And honestly, the worst of all is groupthink. That's when you agree to a terrible business strategy or even just a bad restaurant choice simply to avoid disrupting the harmony of the group.
Okay, on to section 4, flaws in our logic, when our reasoning fails. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the hard, cold data can be sitting right there in front of you, but your brain just calculates it completely wrong? A logic trap isn't about your ego, and it's not about peer pressure. It's literally a glitch in the math of your mind. It's a fundamental, structural breakdown where you severely misinterpret patterns or probabilities.
It's always a bit of a jarring realization, isn't it? When you discover that your seemingly ironclad logic was actually completely backward. We think we're making these statistically sound decisions, calculating risk with absolute precision. But in reality, a logic trap forces a totally irrational conclusion based on a complete misunderstanding of probability. It is cold, hard math versus our highly flawed intuition. And these logic glitches, they show up everywhere. The anchoring effect tricks you into thinking a super high original price makes the sale price a total steal, completely regardless of its actual value. Then the availability heuristic makes you terrified of flying because of some vivid news stories, while you totally ignore the mundane, everyday danger of your daily drive. Survivorship bias has us praising the unique traits of successful CEOs while completely ignoring the thousands of people who did the exact same things and failed. And the gambler's fallacy? Yeah, that's your brain insisting a coin is somehow due to land on heads just because it hit tails 5 times in a row. Which brings us to our final and most important stop:
Section 5. Escaping the mental traps. Outsmarting your own brain. So, to safely navigate these landmines, you have to actively hit the brakes on your automated thinking. Step 1 is absolutely critical. Pause. You have to create a gap between the stimulus and your reaction. Step 2. Identify. Ask yourself, wait, is my ego talking right now? Is the crowd swaying me? Step 3. Evaluate the evidence objectively, stripping all the emotion away. And finally, step 4. Choose. Make a conscious, intentional decision rather than a reactive one.
So, there you have it. You are now equipped to see the invisible wires that dictate your choices, from the sunk cost fallacy all the way to groupthink. So, I want to leave you with this. Which of these mental traps are you going to consciously avoid in your very next decision today? Keep your eyes open, protect your mental processing, and as always, never stop learning.